Hey everyone, Sky here to discuss Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation, starring Tom Cruise, Jeremy Renner, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, Ving Rhames, Sean Harris, and Alec Baldwin, directed by Christopher McQuarrie. Now, I have seen Mr. McQuarrie's previous work before with Jack Reacher, the first one. And I don't remember too much about that movie, but I did see it last year before the sequel. But what did I think of this Mission Impossible? Well, let's get right into it. We open in Minsk, Belarus, and Benji, returned by Simon Pegg, is on the grass, and Luther Stickle, returned by Ving Rhames, is assisting him, with Ethan Hunt, returned by Tom Cruise, on getting the package and flying on the side of the plane. And I'm amazed that Tom Cruise can do that stunt and hang on for that long of a time. I'm impressed, honestly. The Syndicate, as they brought up briefly in the last film, takes over Ethan's mission message and takes Ethan out and captures him to take him hostage. Was another great moment of the film. Alan Hunley, played by Alec Baldwin, who is an actor I've seen in lots of movies. I can't name them all right now. And I enjoy seeing him in here as a village a-hole, excuse my French. But I like Baldwin here in general. Ilsa Faust, played by Rebecca Ferguson, is a fun character, whether she's good or evil, but she is attractive, and I enjoy her as a reluctant Mission Impossible girl. We'll find out at the end that she's a real Mission Impossible girl. And I like the scene with Ethan and Ilsa versus Yannick Winter, forgive me if I said that wrong, aka the Bone Doctor and his goons. It was a good action scene. William Brandt, returned by Jeremy Renner, is forced to join the CIA after the IMF is dissolved, or permanently shut down for short. And Benji is working behind a desk in the CIA, and I feel like both characters are sourpusses of characters. And Benji grows on me by the end of the day, but I don't like Brandt in this movie throughout. Maybe that's probably why Jeremy Renner's not in the new one. Benji goes to Vienna, Austria to go to the opera by Ethan's invitation. While they look for the terrorist, and while the Chancellor of Austria and his wife are there the same time, and I like the opera scene with Ethan and Benji. It leads to a great action sequence between Ethan and one of the terrorists. He's giant, looks like Doug Jones, but even though it's not Doug Jones, but I like that scene. It was a fun fight. We go to Casablanca, Morocco, where Ethan and Benji find Ilsa testing a breathing device that Ethan's going to use underwater later in the film, and tells them about Solomon Lane, played by Sean Harris, who for some reason I've reviewed him before in this, and what his evil plan in this movie is. And Benji gets through the security system and codes, and Ethan and Ilsa go into the water to put a system in the hole, or a couple of chips in the hole underwater. And that was an intense sequence, meaning I thought Ethan was going to die. It was very effective that he didn't. So, whew! Ilsa tells the Syndicate Ethan is dead and gets away on a motorcycle chase with a very fun action sequence with a bunch of crashes and dangerous stunts on a car and on a motorcycle chase. And that's what I love about the Mission Impossible series. It's fast-paced and has some good action scenes. Ilsa's boss tells her to go back to being Lane's torturer, and is assigned, to go back and kill off Ethan. Meanwhile, Ethan comes up with a plan to capture Lane and put him away with Brandt, Luther, Benji, and Ilsa after betraying Lane. I like how they came up with the plan to capture the MacGuffin. That's Lane. That was a good plot. After Ilsa is confronted by Ethan, Brandt, Luther, and Benji gets captured, and they come up with a way to get him back, and Ethan, Brandt, and Luther, along with Ilsa, help out by killing the Prime Minister in a fake way. by keeping him alive and getting Benji back with Ilsa shooting Lane's goons. And I like the way they shoot those scenes. It was just so freaking great. I like how the theme of Mission Impossible plays at some point in the movie. And I also like the scene in this movie as well, or the score, excuse me, in this movie as well. It works well in this movie. The knife fight between Ilsa and Lane's goon was just a badass fight, and Ethan having Lane follow him into his trap. And I love the way Ethan introduces Lane to the IMF. That was, again, a very badass moment of the film. The IMF is back in business, and that ending worked for me, and Alec Baldwin becoming an IMF director was a satisfying ending. Like, he goes from the village a-hole to the IMF director. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 8.4 out of 10. The action scenes are great, but not quite as good as Ghost Protocol. But again, in another fun Mission Impossible movie, and I'm hearing good things about the new movie, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. So I'm excited to go into this new Mission Impossible. I hope I don't leave disappointed, though. I'll just say that much. And I would like to thank you guys for joining me for this show. And I will be back next week with Mission Impossible Fallout, the final movie in this series. And until next time, mission accomplished.